We have about, I think it's 67 here, and it's just about the right size. It's lovely, actually. It's really cool.
Wonderful.
But yeah, we've got some great stuff coming up, and thank you so much for coming on. You know, I think everybody knows quite a bit about you and your beautiful GAPS books and the gut and psychology, gut and physiology, the heart in your mouth as well, right? Beautiful stuff. And so I just, you know, to kick off questions, I'm going to be selfish and ask the first one. And I think there's a little bit of a theme of what some of the people are going to talk about, sort of going into not only the harm that's been done to us by our you know, our governing bodies on taking us away from our ancestral diet, but also of who we are, you know, that sort of essential nature. That little bit you got into at the end of the Malik thing, and I thought I'd love to get more of Natasha, more out of Natasha on that one, of just our essential nature of how we are spirit in a meat suit, and how, you know, what's your opinion of how, you know, the elites have controlled these diets to keep us weak and controllable. And anyway, what do you think, Natasha?
First of all, I want to say good day to everybody. Hello, yeah, hello everybody. I was supposed to join you, but it didn't work out with the flights. So, but thank God we've got technology, and thank God it's working. So the spiritual, of course, we are spirits. We are eternal. We're indestructible. And the body is only a jacket we wear for one lifetime. And I have no doubt, because nothing else makes sense. What religions are telling us and the mainstream is telling us, that you live once. So you have to take from this life as much as you can, consume as much as you can, and just look after the number one, you know, and all of that, and be an animal, be your body, and identify with the body only. That is a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for consuming our planet at the fastest rate, destroying our planet at the fastest rate, because a population of billions of consumers, every one of whom is only concerned with consuming as much as he can in a lifetime, is a disaster for the planet. Because where do the resources come from? From our Mother Earth, from the planet. So if every human being consumes more than he needs or she needs, it's a terrible disaster. But there is a universal law. There are universal laws in the world, in the whole of creation. And one of those laws is the law of karma. Everybody's talking about it. And my understanding is that in 5th century AD, the religious leaders got together in Istanbul, former Constantinople at the time, and banned the teaching of karma and banned the teaching of reincarnation. They put a taboo on it. And then, to destroy all the people who didn't obey that ban, they launched crusades. So the crusades were largely to destroy all the pagans in the world, all the pagan cultures who still practiced the law of karma and the law of reincarnation. If you think about this, karma and reincarnation make sense. They're logical, they're sensible, and looking at how the whole world is created, how nature works, how infinitely wise and beautifully designed it is, and how well it all functions, we should not think that our Creator is silly and would create us to live once. That is a stupid idea. It doesn't work at all. So while the law of karma and the law of reincarnation is infinitely sensible and beautiful, that we live in a spiritual world, or we come here periodically to do work. This is not a holiday. This is not a place to consume and have fun and relax. Not at all. It's a school of hard knocks, and it's a place of hard work where we have to do that work and we have to grow. The thing about laws is, you know, we know about it, about our human laws in our human societies that are made, that whether you like the law or not, whether you believe in it or not, whether you agree with it or not, it still works for you. It still affects you, and it still rules your life. And if the laws created by humanity can be cancelled and can be broken, the laws created by the grand creator cannot be broken and cannot be cancelled. So no matter what the church does, no matter who says what, the law of incarnation and the law of karma work. They're infinitely sensible, and they will continue working. And they give us great freedom, because they give us an understanding that we are eternal, that nothing can destroy us and nothing can harm us. All they can destroy and harm is the body, but the body is going to die anyway. You know, nobody's going to survive this life. Everybody's going to pass away, which means you shed your body, you leave it in this material dimension, and you go back to the spirit world. And hopefully, if you did the right thing in this physical dimension and you worked hard and you corrected some of your old karma and corrected some of the mistakes you've made before, you will go on a higher level. You will go somewhere better in the spirit world than you came from. But when a human being understands that, and when a child understands that from a very young age, this will be a very different human being growing up. This human being will have responsibility and will understand that I'm not here on holiday to have fun and to consume. I'm here to do work. And there is a responsibility for every word I say, from every thought I think, and for every deed I do. Great responsibility, and that I will pay for all of it dearly for the rest of my spiritual life. And that this jacket that is given to us in the material world, it's a physical body, it's beautiful, it's beautifully designed. We should take good care of it, because it's a vehicle that you're driving in this physical dimension. And it's much more comfortable to drive a vehicle that is in good order, right? Than trying to drive a vehicle where the brakes are broken and the lamps are not working and this is not working, that's not working, the door is not closing. You know, it's not very comfortable to drive a broken vehicle. That is why it's a good idea to look after this vehicle, the physical human body, the way it's been designed, the way it's supposed to be looked after. And as I understand, the group of people that are here largely understand how this body should be looked after, so that it functions and it works. My understanding is I am privileged to know some spiritual masters or people who are evolved spiritually and who seem to know what they're talking about. And they tell me that every one of us is born with a best before printed on our aura. Everyone will leave this dimension at the very second you're supposed to leave it at. Nobody can change that, apart from very, very evolved, spiritually evolved individuals. So everyone will leave at that point, at that very second. That is pre-planned, pre-programmed. So no matter what scary things they say to us on TV and the mainstream and the government and so on, that they're going to kill you or do something else to you, and they can't. I've known in my professional world and my professional work, I've known people who had 4th stage cancer and kept having chemo and suffering terribly and dreadfully, and yet they live and live and live. Despite the fact that the doctors tell them, well, you know, this couple of months left, or maybe a couple of weeks left, or whatever is left. And this person just lives on and on and on, and only dies at the moment when they're supposed to leave, when they're supposed to die. So from a logical point of view, it makes sense to look after your body. So until that last second, you're driving a comfortable vehicle, and you can feel comfortable in this world and you can do things in this world, rather than ruin this vehicle through inappropriate diet, inappropriate behavior, inappropriate lifestyle, and suffer, simply suffer until that last second when you're supposed to shed that body. So that's a beautiful news, that we are spirits. Every one of us has a soul that we carry with us, and we come from a world which is amazing, And we're not supposed to know about it while we're in the physical body, because otherwise we will not take this incarnation seriously. And we are here to do work. And we are safe from the spiritual point of view, indestructible, invulnerable, and eternal. So there is nothing to be afraid of. No matter how many scary things people tell you or try to scare you, there is nothing to be afraid of. We are here to create. We are here to do what we feel is right to do. That's my position.
That's spirituality has become so wrapped up in plant-based diets.
Yes, that is. The thing is, these people are confused. They are deceived. They're just confused, these people. There are people, the spiritual people that I'm talking about, that I know of, some of them have reached a level now when they don't need to eat or breathe at all. These people do heart meditation. Not hatha yoga, where you do all sorts of exercises, breathing exercises and physical positions and exercises. No, that one doesn't lead to that kind of spiritual development. The center of the human being is the heart chakra. That is where God is, that is where the grand creator is, that is where your spirit is, that is where your soul is. From that chakra, where the life force comes into your physical body, there are 3 chakras up and 3 chakras down. And the further away from the heart these chakras are, the weaker they are and the easier they are to hack. So the most vulnerable and weak chakras in a human being are the crown chakra, the mind, and the base chakra, the sex. So all these nefarious forces in the world, they get you through those 2. Either through your mind, by deceiving you, by giving you stories and deceiving you, or through the sex chakra, by leading you along by that base chakra. So they are the most vulnerable ones. And the mind is one of the weakest points in the human being. And that's what happens to vegetarians and vegans. They are led by their mind. They are given stories. These global corporations who run all our industries, they have been abusing animals in confined animal factory operations for decades. And then they would film this abuse in their own factories and show it to the vegans and vegetarians as a video, and then tell them, see what happens when you eat meat. And the real farms and the real organic farms and regenerative farms are never mentioned. Many of these vegans and vegetarians don't even know that such things exist, that there is another way of bringing up animals, there is another way of looking after them. So it's the whole movement of vegans and vegetarians is based on ignorance, emotions, and lying, basically. The truth is, in order to eat what you want and survive, you have to be very highly evolved spiritually. When you've done enough heart meditation, when you focus on your heart chakra, when you drive all your energy that you have into your heart chakra, that's what happens when you do that, and when your mind is forced into that place in your body. You present your karma from all of your lifetimes to the grand creator, to your life force, and your life force burns it out. I've been told that that is the most efficient way of clearing your karma. No matter how much you've accumulated, no matter how many lives before, how many lives back you've accumulated that karma, heart meditation is the way to do it. So when a person meditated on the heart long enough, a point is reached when they've cleared enough of their own karma, when their spirit becomes light and clean, because karma is like lumps of mud that are slapped on your spirit, on your soul. So the light doesn't shine through that mud. You become dark and you live in darkness. So to have light in you, you have to clear all that mud, all that dirt from your spirit, from your soul. And that's what heart meditation does. And when people have done most of that work and reached a certain level, Then they reach a level when they don't need to eat anymore, or drink anymore, or even breathe. Their bodies get all the energy from the prana. What is prana? In the Western terms, it is ether. In India, it's called prana. In the West, it's called ether. Nikola Tesla has worked a lot on ether, and he's got technologies to harvest ether and get free electricity from it. And that technology now has been deciphered by many engineers around the world, many clever people around the world. Trouble is, as soon as they start making these machines to harvest this energy, they disappear, these people. But I'm sure a time will come when they will stop disappearing, and we will get that technology, because it is now known to these engineers how to harvest ether. So every one of us can have free electricity wherever we are. We don't need pylons, we don't need wires, we don't need electric companies, we don't need to pay for it. It is given to us for free. So what happens when a person reaches a certain level and clears the karma? Your body itself starts harvesting that ether, that infinite source of energy, which is all around us and inside us. And you don't need to eat anymore. Your body feeds on prana. You don't need to breathe, you don't need to drink anymore. If you want to continue eating something, you can make that choice. But still, majority of energy will be harvested from prana, from ether. So I know some of these meditators who would just choose to eat one item because they particularly like it. They don't want to give it up. You know, one item out of their diet. Somebody else chooses to eat something else. So when the person is at that level, they can choose to become a vegan. Fine, because they don't need any food at all. But it doesn't work the other way. You can't become a vegan and suddenly become enlightened and clear all your karma, just like that, just because you stopped eating meat. Those people are deluded. They're just destroying their bodies because their spiritual level is too low to survive on that ration. I've written a book on vegetarianism. It's called Vegetarianism Explained. I don't know if some people are familiar with it. It's not a big book, but it explains all of this. It explains how animal foods work in the human body and how plant foods work in the human body. Mother Nature gave us two groups of foods, animal foods and plant foods. The scientific fact is that the only things on our planet that can digest plant matter, process it, are microbial communities, microbes. Nobody else can digest plants. Mother Nature used this scientific fact in designing a digestive system of a cow, or a deer, or a giraffe, or a goat, or a sheep, any herbivorous animal. Mother Nature gave them a rumen, which is a group of huge stomachs full of microbes. So when the cow swallows a mouthful of grass, she doesn't digest that grass herself. It's that microbial community in her three enormous stomachs that digest the grass for her and convert it into something useful that her body can use, into proteins, fats, and other building blocks. We human beings don't have a rumen. We have a small stomach, which produces hydrochloric acid. Acidity in your stomach can be below 1 pH when you're hungry. Very hostile environment for microbes. No microbe can survive that. Only a few microbial species manage to, hang around there in a healthy human stomach. So plants are indigestible for the human beings because there are no microbes in the human stomach. Only microbes can digest plants. But hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and other elements of human stomach juice are perfect for digesting meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. These are the things that get properly digested in the human stomach, and then they get passed into several meters of intestines, where absorption of food happens. And the only things we can absorb are things that we have digested properly. So again, only animal foods absorb properly in the absorptive surfaces of the small intestine. Plants do very little in the stomach. They just sit and wait, and they do very little in the intestines. They just go through. They contribute a few juices, a few minerals, a few vitamins, but the bulk of what the human body is made from, they cannot contribute. They do not feed human beings. They are incapable of that. When we take a human body, majority of you is water, majority of your body is water. When we take the water out, the dry weight of the human body is 50-50, protein and fat. When we analyze human protein and human fat in a lab, we find that in their biochemical composition, they're almost identical to proteins and fats we get out of meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. So these are the foods that are properly digested in a human stomach, properly absorbed, and are appropriate for building your physical structure, the physical body you live in. Your heavy bones, your muscles, your brain, your lungs, your liver, your heart, all of the tissues and systems. Because human body renews itself all the time. Every cell in your body has a very short life. It dies, gets removed, and new baby cells are born to replace those cells. So your body constantly has a cell turnover, and it constantly gives birth to trillions of baby cells in every tissue. In order to give birth to trillions of baby cells, building materials are required. Where do they come from? From food. And the only appropriate materials for human body come from animal foods. Plants have plenty of proteins, plenty of fats, but in their biochemical composition, they're inappropriate for building human protein and human fat. The most researched plant protein is gluten. And the more we're researching it, the more we're realizing no human being on this planet can digest it. It damages everybody. Practically every protein in plants is damaging for the human body, has inappropriate amino acid composition, and it is indigestible by the human digestive system. So the question is, why do we eat plants at all? We eat them because they contribute cleansing substances. They contribute antioxidants, phytates, salicylates, phenols, phytonutrients, vitamins, minerals, and other things, which help the human body to stay clean on the inside. They're cleansers, but they cannot feed the human body. The feeding comes from animal foods only. That is what I've discovered by doing basic research, and I've described it in this book. So if you know somebody who is considering a plant-based lifestyle, or you know some vegans and vegetarians you want to help, please ask them to read this book. They will understand, hopefully, because they need to understand that. So based on all of this knowledge, veganism is not a diet. The word diet should not be attached to the word vegan. Veganism is a fast. It is a form of fasting. That's not my idea. I got that from Hindu pilgrims in India. I went to India several times, and I've researched Indian vegetarianism and Indian veganism. And veganism, the vegan fast, is part of Hindu pilgrimage. They fast for 41, 42 days during their religious pilgrimage. Hinduism is one of the oldest religions in the world. It's said to be 35,000 years old or so. And when I spoke to these people, they described, I've asked them, what kind of fast is it that you have to do as part of your pilgrimage? And they described the vegan so-called diet, where they can eat all kinds of plants, but they're not allowed to eat anything out of animal kingdom. These people for 35,000 years call it a fast. They will only do it for 41 days. And they all said it's so difficult, so difficult. You know how they bob their heads. They say it's very, very difficult, this fast. So veganism is not a diet, it is a fast. Fasting can be beneficial to health, no doubt about it. There are lots of stories and testimonies. It's as old as the hills, where people fasted and they recovered from different illnesses. But nobody can fast forever. At a certain point, when your body has cleansed with lots and lots of plant matter, it will give you a signal. I'm hungry now. Feed me. I finished cleansing. How would it give you that signal? It will give you a desire for eggs and bacon, for a pot of cream, for cheese, for a piece of meat, for a roast chicken. Problem is, our Western vegans, they do it for religious reasons, political reasons, emotional reasons, and so on. They don't listen to their body. They override that signal. They force their body to continue cleansing when the body is asking to be fed. And at that point, the body has no choice but to start breaking down muscle and bone to feed important organs, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the digestive system, the brain. So they start losing muscle mass, they start losing bone mass, and they start losing brain mass because the brain is very heavy on fats. It's a fatty organ, and the rest is proteins in the brain. Their brains literally shrink. So sense of humor starts disappearing in this person. Their cognitive ability starts reducing. They become black and white. They become revolutionary, and they become hangry. That is now a professional term among psychologists and psychiatrists, made out of two words, angry and hungry. The brain is starving, so the person is angry. The revolutionaries, they berate everybody for eating meat, and they fight and so on, so forth, because they're hungry, their brains are starving. All reproductive function is cancelled in these people. Menstruation stop, libido stops. They do not form healthy relationships or happy families, and that doesn't happen for them. So there are many, many other problems with veganism, and people don't understand that. It is possible to be a healthy vegetarian as long as you continue eating some animal foods to sustain the physical structure of your body. And such vegetarianism, forms of vegetarianism exist in India, but they exist not but because people chose this. It exists because of poverty. India is very highly overpopulated, and vast majority of the population lives in poverty. These families, they can grow an animal, but they can't afford to eat that animal themselves. They sell it to somebody wealthier, and the amount of money they get, they can buy rice and beans and something else for the whole family for a whole year to survive on. So they are vegetarians out of poverty. But if they are given meat, if they have a chance to eat fish, meat, eggs, they never say no. So periodically they do eat these things. And that is why the cow is a sacred animal in India, because it provides them with ghee, butter, cheese, cream, milk, things that can sustain a physical structure of the physical body that the human being lives in. And the hotter the climate, the more cleansing a human being needs and the less feeding a human being needs. That is why in hot summer, when we travel to tropical countries, we don't feel like eating lots of meat and fat. We feel like eating a salad or something cooler, if we've got the digestive system that can cope with that. But the further north a human being lives, the more meat and fat you have to eat, and the less plant matter you need. My patients taught me, everything I write in my books comes from my clinical experience, from my patients. So my patients taught me, particularly children, taught me that human beings can live perfectly well without eating any plants at all. We do not need 5 a day. We do not need 7 a day or 15 a day or whatever the latest recommendation is from the governments. We do not need to eat plant matter at all to survive, to sustain the physical structure of our bodies. But we cannot live without animal foods. Nobody can live permanently on a vegan fast. So that is what I describe in this green book. So please read it. So that's on vegetarianism. And I have met vegans who look as if they have been dug up yesterday, look terrible. But they believe that they're fine, and, and who say that in order to become enlightened, you must be a vegan. That's the confusion. That's the back and front inversion that they get, these people. It's the other way around. You have to get enlightened first, then you can choose to be vegan, because your body will be living largely on ether, on prana. Okay, that's a long answer to a short question.
No, that was cool. Yeah, I was saying to the guys earlier on that Ben and I did a talk on carnivore and whatever at one of the festivals recently. And it's very difficult to turn vegans around on the spot. You can turn vegetarians around and say, oh yeah, there's plant toxins and blah, blah, and they'll think about it. Vegans is very rare. We had somebody who'd been vegan 38 years and they went out and had their first burger. And then 2 weeks later, she came up to me at a festival and she gave me a big hug and she said, all the life force has come back into me. I can't thank you enough. And that's rare for 38 years turning them around. But that was a big victory for us. Anyway, so has anybody got any questions? Brilliant, Steve has. Let's pass the mic down.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I misheard what she said. I'm a very practical person. I'm not very spiritual. But I thought I heard you said that people could live without breathing. Did anybody else say that? Yeah. Now, I'm passionate about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that's grappling if you don't know. And I've been virtually put to sleep in 6 seconds by somebody blocking my windpipe. I've done the same to other people. So did I mishear when she said that people could live without breathing? And if so, can she explain how?
Did you get that, Natasha?
Can you repeat? Because there's an echo.
Yeah.
Not very clear.
Right. There's this business about breatharianism, right? So Steve's asking, because he's into his jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And he's asking, did he actually hear right that breatharianism is possible? I mean, we've seen people there's this latest craze on, and we know particularly one guy who talks at the festivals and is getting sicker and sicker. And he recommends, just put your kids on a vegan diet, particularly fruitarianism, and then we're going to go to breatharianism. And I'm actually with you on this. That I think that there are yogis who have probably accomplished this, but you don't do it by gradually taking nutritious foods out, right? Which is the way that we've been told. So Steve is saying, did you actually say that it can be true? And I'm actually with you. I think so, but not the way people are trying to do it with veganism, right?
Yes, absolutely. Is it a question to me?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
To me. Okay. So absolutely. You have to get enlightened first. Then you can choose what you eat and what you don't eat. Until that point, before you become enlightened, you have to follow the rules of Mother Nature. Human body has been designed very beautifully, very well. And the way it has been designed, that it gets its feeding and building materials only from animal foods. And it gets its cleansing from plants. But animal foods, particularly raw, have a powerful cleansing ability too. And if you keep your physical structure strong and well with animal foods, then you don't need to eat plants to be clean on the inside either. You'll be clean and you'll be well fed. And that's what carnivore movement has demonstrated. So many people in the carnivore movement have recovered from severe chronic illnesses by simply not eating plants anymore and focusing on eating entirely animal foods, freshly prepared, fresh animal foods, unprocessed, fresh animal foods. So you have to be enlightened first. You have to clear your karma first before you can survive on whatever you want to choose, whether you want to eat only lettuce, or you want to only breathe, or whether you want to only drink water, or eat only chocolate, or whatever it is. You have to get enlightened first. And that is not an easy task to become enlightened. That can take several lifetimes, depending on how much karma you have accumulated, how many karmic ties you have, what you have to accomplish in this world. And you do not accomplish it only by meditating. You have to live in this busy world. You have to go through your life. You have to deal with every challenge that the life throws at you, because every challenge is entirely appropriate for your karma. It's been specifically planned for you. It's energetics. It's like magnets, There are laws and rules that work in there, mathematical laws, physical laws that work together. So every human being that bumps into you and comes into your life has been sent there. He's not an accident. You have to listen carefully. You have to look carefully. Why is this person here? Why did he come into my world? What is he carrying? What is the lesson? What do I need to do? Every event, every adversity, every joyful event Everything is your energetic, attracted to itself, because your energetic is imbued with your karma, with what it is you have to do. There is no need to retreat from the world and sit on top of Himalayan mountains meditating to clear the karma, or to sit in a cave somewhere. Not at all. We need to live in the world where we are. We need to do what we assigned to do. We just have to understand that this is a duty, and this is not a holiday. This is not a jolly human life. It's a hard work. And the more work you accomplish, the more you focus on all of this, the more you do it with love, coming from energy of love. Do it correctly, make the right choices at every moment. The higher you will rise, and the more you will clear your karma, and the more enlightened you will become. And maybe in some future lifetime, after you've cleared most of your karma and you have done all the right choices, then you can become a vegan if you want to, or a breatharian, or whatever else, whatever other variations there are out there. I just want to add another thing about vegans, and that is my observation. Again, I worked with a lot of vegans. I meet so many young people who were perfectly healthy youngsters before they chose to become a vegan. And through this veganism, they destroy themselves. Absolutely on every level. They destroy themselves on a physical level, on a mental level, and on a spiritual level. And most importantly, they make themselves weak. Weak physically, weak spiritually, and weak mentally. They don't even realize what's happening to them, because their brain is becoming weak. The brain capacity reduces dramatically in this person. They become weak. And as a result, they're easily hacked on every level. On a physical level, they become ill, and all of the people around can see that, particularly families. They get very concerned, while the person himself or herself think that they're perfectly healthy. They don't even realize what's happening to their bodies and what are they doing to their bodies. On a mental level, they're easily deceived, easily led by the nose into anything. And on a spiritual level, they become very weak. As a result, they're easily possessed. It is easy for some bad spirits from the astral to come into their aura and start feeding off them and manipulating them and using them. A lot of these people finish up with that kind of situation, which is very difficult to deal with. It is a dangerous thing to be weak in this world, in this dimension. It is very important to be strong on every level, on physical, and by doing the right diet, you make yourself physically strong. You then feed your brain properly, so hopefully you're mentally strong. You're not that easily deceived and manipulated. And you make yourself spiritually strong by your attitude to life, by making the right choices, by choosing love over anything else every time. I think in every situation, all of us on a daily basis are given two choices, the right one and the easy one. And it's very sad to observe that majority of humanity usually take the easy choice. And then they wail and complain, why is this happening to me? Why is that happening to me? And why everything goes wrong. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, have I got the mute on? No, I haven't. Have you seen that video, Natasha? It's great. Tremendous entertainment, though, don't they, sometimes? Have you seen the one where the vegans are giving a funeral to a frozen chicken in a supermarket?
No, I haven't.
and take over the soup station and put a frozen chicken in a coffin. Absolutely hilarious. It's marvelous. Has anybody else got a question?
Oh, that was in.
Hi, you talked about plants being used for cleansing. I wonder if you could add a little bit more detail to that, please.
Did you get that, Natasha? About could you add a bit more detail about plants being used for cleansing? Maybe if there is a situation where that would be preferable, or whether we need them at all, or just is it great to go on to just meat? What would be a situation where plants would actually be good for cleansing?
Well, we have a Gerson protocol for treating cancer, which is entirely vegan. I'm sure many people heard of it. Dr. Gerson was a German doctor who lived in the 1930s and experimented, tried to heal his patients with cancer. And he designed a vegan, entirely vegan protocol where you drink 12 glasses of juice, freshly pressed juice. They're very busy people who follow the Gerson protocol. You have to make 12 glasses of juice with a proper super duper juicer. So you extract everything and remove all the pulp. They are on an entirely vegan protocol where they make this Hippocrates soup, where they boil and boil and boil a pile of vegetables in water for hours and hours to extract as much as they can. And they do 4 coffee enemas per day. 4 coffee enemas per day. And that is a major factor, I think, in the success of the Gerson protocol, because they're keeping their bowel empty and clean all the time. And coffee drains the liver. It forces the capsule of the liver to contract and empty all the bile into the intestines. So the liver drains itself after a coffee enema. So it's a good cleansing procedure. The bowel is a major source of toxicity in the human body. More than 90% of everything toxic floating in your blood comes from your bowel. So by 4 coffee enemas per day, you are keeping your bowel empty all the time. Nothing's going on there. It's basically clean. It's cleaned out all the time. And it is successful for many forms of cancer, but not for all, particularly lymphoid cancers, lymphatic cancers, cancers of the blood, where you do need a ketogenic diet, because ketogenic diet was born a little bit later. And that is a diet where we eat lots of fat. And we focus largely on animal foods. It's largely fat, 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 fat. A little bit of protein and hardly any carbohydrates. And that form of diet also shows a huge promise and a huge success in treating cancer. So there are 2 varieties of cancer protocols in the world. One is Gerson, which is entirely vegan, and one which is a ketogenic protocol, which is more focused on the animal foods. And both of them show great success. And every human being intuitively probably chooses what is right for them. Okay.
Cool. Yes, thank you. We have Sophia Clements here from Paleomedicina in Hungary as well, who does this amazing work with the real high-fat, Paleolithic ketogenic diet and great success with cancer. And we've had my friend Andrew Scarborough has been on my podcast too, who got rid of his, he's 11 years ago, he should have been dead from a glioblastoma. And so it's great to see these protocols working. Was it not in the early days of Gerson, they used to have more like thymus and liver and stuff like that, and they used to whiz that?
Oh yes, part of Gerson protocol is raw
as
liver.
well, and then it got taken out. Yeah.
They make raw liver juice, where they juice the liver. But for various reasons, recently they've replaced it with capsules. And I don't think it works just as well as the raw liver used to.
Yeah, cool. Anybody got something? Tristan?
Yes, okay. What is the difference in how raw meat affects your health versus cooked meat? What are the differences?
Did you get that one?
Yes. So what's the difference between raw meat and cooked meat? Yes. Raw meat is easier to digest, and it gives you less adulterated nutrition. It gives you perfect nutrition, raw meat. So raw diet is animal diet, has been used. There is a, We Want to Survive. There's a book by Diogenes van der Planitz, who passed away a few years ago. So he was propagating the raw diet, entirely raw, where he ate, 2 pounds of raw beef every day, and raw eggs and raw dairy, and but also raw fruit and vegetables. So raw foods are easier for the human body to digest and for the human body to use, because nature provided us with everything. And the more we change the structure of natural foods, the less easy it is for our bodies to process it. But that depends also on the state of the digestive system of the person. The more the digestive system of the person is damaged, the easier it is for them to have cooked things. And there are things that in nature which are impossible to eat raw. You know, you can take fillet steak and you can take soft parts of the muscle of the animal and mince them and eat that raw, fine. Or you can have it rare, have it bloody or whatever. But majority of the carcass of any animal is collagen and connective tissue. And those are so tough, you can't chew them and you can't tear them. They're even hard to cut. So that's fascia, that's joints and bones and ligaments and the capsules of organs and, you know, all the supportive structures in the body and blood vessels and nerves, you know, all of those structures. In order to make them soft enough to even chew and consume, you have to cook them in water for several hours. And that is what all traditional cultures around the world did and do still, those traditional cultures that still exist in the world. They make a soup. And I'm a farmer. I'm an organic regenerative farmer. For the last 12 years, we have been farming. We got a plot of land in East Anglia in the UK and created an organic regenerative farm. We are self-sufficient in food. We buy virtually nothing. All the food comes from the farm. We love our animals. And when we slaughter an animal, there's only maybe a few kilograms of pure muscle mass that you can eat raw. You can manage to chew and consume raw. The rest of the body is connective tissue that needs to be cooked in water for several hours in order to be able to even chew it, let alone digest it. So, and we can't be wasting majority of the carcass of the animal because that animal gave its life to us. Simply out of respect for that animal, we must not waste anything. We don't waste a morsel. Every little bit of the animal is used in cooking. So we make meat stock and we make bone broth. And with that meat stock, we make soups and we consume that every day. And these sort of broths and meat stock are essential for human beings to eat. Because just like the body of an animal, your body, majority of it is connective tissue. Your bones, your joints, your muscles, your skin, your fascia, your capsules and ligaments and all of these supporting structures, they are made out of the same protein that the animal's connective tissue is made from. Collagen, elastin, and some other elastic proteins, they hold your body together. Collagen is a magnet for toxicity in the human body. Whatever toxins get into your body, and majority of them come from the digestive system in a human being, like to attach themselves to collagen, because collagen has many amino acids in it, which have this receptacle, which are perfect for majority of toxins. So it's a magnet for toxicity. When molecules of collagen get contaminated with toxins, the immune system gets involved. It goes around your body all the time, surveying everything. It finds these contaminated molecules of collagen, looks at them, and decides what it should do with this molecule. Initially, it would use inflammation, which is a function that the immune system has ready to go. It's right here on the shelf, ready, switched on. It just grabs it and uses it. So you get inflammation in your body. Inflammation is a wonderful mechanism of our immune system for cleansing things. It will remove that toxin. It will clean up that collagen, polish it and dust it. And that molecule of collagen is nice and clean, left in your body. And the toxin is removed. But if the toxin keeps coming and coming, and after a couple of months, inflammation is clearly not enough, then the immune system will start designing specific proteins, specific antibodies for that contaminated molecule of collagen. And these antibodies, they don't just clean the molecule, they actually remove it, destroy it, and remove it. So you start losing collagen. This process of collagen loss begins in early childhood and it goes on all of our lives, which means we have to replenish collagen all the time. And the only way, the best way to replenish collagen is through eating this meat stock and soups made with the meat stock. And eating all the carcass, all the tough tissues of the animal, which were boiled until they became soft. And then you can polish the bones like a piranha. You can eat all those soft tissues. You can eat all the collagen of this. So the skin of the chicken, the bones of the chicken, the cartilage, the feet of the pig, the head of the pig, the skin of the pig, you know, all the offcuts and all the bits and pieces around bones on the animals are the most valuable nutritionally parts of the animal. And you wouldn't be able to chew them when they're raw. They're too tough. You have to cook them in water. So meat stock is absolutely valuable and very essential. Collagen disorders are a basis of every autoimmune condition in the world. Collagen gets contaminated, the immune system is trying to clean it, and it develops immune complexes to clean collagen. So that then these immune complexes are found in the blood by your doctor, and your doctor gives you a diagnosis of autoimmune disease. And because our mainstream medicine is controlled by big pharma, they are not allowed to have the truth. They never will. They're always given some lies and some manipulations and some kind of theories. So the theory that the mainstream doctors were given for autoimmunity is called the mimicry phenomenon, where they are told that your immune system is silly, doesn't know what it's doing, and out of the blue, for no good reason, it decides to attack your own organs and your own tissues, so we need to kill your immune system. And they sell you drugs, which kill your immune system. Immune suppressive drugs. We can't live without the immune system. The immune system is not killing you. The mimicry phenomenon is a big mistake. It's a wrong theory that has been proven to be wrong. The reality is that autoimmunity develops because of contamination of collagen and other proteins in the body too. They're dirty. So the immune system comes along to clean the dirt away, to clean them up. So it's not attacking you out of the blue. It always knows what it's doing. Your immune system is never misguided. And killing it is the worst thing you can do to yourself. What you want to do, you want to stop the toxins coming into your body. And majority of them usually come from the gut. So you need to heal and seal your gut to stop the toxins coming in and to stop contaminating your body with industrial toxins from the outside, from the environment. And then the body will be able to clean whatever's contaminated already and eat lots and lots of collagen. And for that, you need to have a bowl of soup every day. And it should be made from meat stock, where you boiled the carcass of the animal, bits of the animal, for a few hours in water with salt, black pepper. You can add a few vegetables in there. You can add a few spices that you like. So the meat stock is delicious. And the meat stock is the basis of the GAPS diet because your gut lining is made out of collagen, largely. We need lots and lots of collagen to heal it and repair it. Our supplement companies now jumped on the bandwagon. They're selling collagen supplements. And people spend a lot of money on these supplements. If you eat a good bowl of soup, you've eaten a bottle of that supplement. So it's the cheapest way of having collagen, of consuming it. Okay.
Thank you.
Humans has for a long time been using dried meat and fish. How to deal with that in this conjunction compared to raw and cooked, the dried?
Did you get that one?
No, it's echoing.
Yeah. Humans have been using sort of dried meat and fish and whatever, as opposed to cooked and raw. What are your views on dried meat and fish?
Absolutely, it's still raw. Dried, jerky, fermented meat is wonderful. That is ham and sausages and salumi. These are fermented meats. They're also raw, and fermentation is even better because what fermentation does, it pre-digests the meat for you. So it's much easier for your body to handle because it's already been digested by microbes during fermentation. So all this Spanish jamon and Croatian prosciutto and Italian salumi and all of these raw meats that have been treated with salt and then they hang for a while to ferment, they're all easier to digest than raw meat. And raw meat is wonderful. The thing is that people in the Western world, when you say the word meat, they see steak. They see the muscle of the animal. When you say the same word to a traditional culture, to a person from a traditional culture, they don't see just muscle. They see a chunk of the animal with nothing removed. There's a bone in the middle, there's bone marrow in the bone, there are ligaments, and there's a joint, and there are nerves and arteries and skin and fascia, you know, the whole thing. That's what means meat. And also in that word, the organs are included. And the organs of the animal are far more nutritious than the muscle of the animal. Some organs can be consumed raw. For example, liver, kidneys can be consumed raw. Heart can be consumed raw. You can make jerky out of heart jerky. People do that traditionally. But some organs like lungs and like intestines, they need to be cooked. Intestines are very, very good for us to consume. Generally speaking, from a traditional knowledge, whatever organ in your body is in trouble, you need to eat the same organ from healthy animals to save your organ. So if, for example, you have a chronic pneumonia, the whole winter you've been just taking antibiotics and you just can't clear this pneumonia, it's not going away. Or you've got COPD, or you've got another or asthma, or another chronic lung condition. Just eating lungs of healthy animals, literally a few meals, will heal your lungs. Because you will provide concentrated amounts of the right building materials to rebuild your lung tissue. Your body will just sup it up, grab it and use it and rebuild your lungs. If your kidneys are in trouble, you eat kidneys of healthy animals. If your heart is in trouble, you eat heart of healthy animals, and so on. And majority of people in the world now have damaged digestive systems because of agricultural chemicals and because of this processed foods that people eat. So we do need to eat digestive systems of animals. We need to clean out the intestines, the bowel, the stomach, and cook them. You can't eat them raw. They are intestines, perhaps you can, but they're just not tasty, I'll tell you. No matter how much you wash them and clean them. You probably wouldn't want to chew that and eat that raw. So those need to be what we usually do on my farm. We collect all the organs and we mince them. We make a mixture, we make an organ mince. And then if you do whatever you're making with mince, whether it is burgers or a meatloaf or a chili or, you know, stuffed peppers or anything else you do with mince, if you have half minced muscle and half minced organs and you mix them together, it's delicious. Nobody objects, and people who are not used to eating organs don't even notice that they're eating organs. That way you're supporting all of your organs in your body, which is also important to eat. Okay.
Still again.
Yeah, I'm back. Okay, so you mentioned Ogenus and his raw meat diet. And as far as I'm aware, on his diet, he wasn't doing any cooked like broths and putting bone marrow and breaking down the tough stuff and eating that. And you did mention that that is necessary. Is there something that he was doing on his diet that made it so he didn't have to eat the broth and all those things for collagen? Is there something he was doing that was unique?
You got that one, Natasha?
Yes, I got that one. I've never studied his diet very thoroughly in detail. I have got one of his books, which I've read very carefully, and I've listened to some of his videos. He does eat a lot of minced meat. It's beef, largely, he relied on. He eats a lot of raw eggs, ate organic raw dairy and fermented kefir and sour cream and things like that. And he ate a lot of papaya and raw vegetables and fruit. He ate. So obviously his body was getting everything it needed from those things, and it was surviving. And of course, the muscle has some connective tissue in it. It has some collagen in it. So possibly that was enough for him. But he did eat liver, as I understand it. I do remember that he had liver as well. He was eating liver raw, as well as the muscle. Okay.
Yeah. Come over here.
Yeah.
Easy.
Hi, Natasha.
Hello.
Hello. Earlier you were talking about etherical energy, and I want to know, do you know of a technique or a gauge so that we can measure how we are absorbing ethereal energy and how it works with our bodies? And as well, a two-part question, I guess. How would leaving meat out, like not eating meat for a month, affect that? Thank you.
So the ether.
Yeah.
I'm sure that all of us are harvesting the ether. I'm sure we are, particularly at the times when we are creative and at the times when we are creating in our thoughts. Because human thoughts are the most powerful energy in the universe. That's what I understand from my understanding. Our thoughts are immensely powerful because it's with our thoughts that we create the matrix in the whole space, in the whole cosmos. Create the matrix, and this matrix then materializes. I have got introduced to a research of a Russian physicist, a Russian engineer. I am Russian, you probably know, many of you, who is doing an amazing work, absolute genius. His name is Viktor Plikin. Unfortunately, his work has not been translated into English yet, but I'm sure it will be. He has created a model of the universe, a computer model, which he's created in the 1980s. And since then, using that model, he has proven and explained practically all phenomena, all natural phenomena that the science could not explain. And he has developed technologies and ways of doing different things based on this model, which are amazingly successful. So the model has proven itself. And he is one of the people that understands ether very well and can build this machine probably in a few days that can harvest electricity for us. But he says that I don't want to disappear. And so he doesn't do it because I've asked him. I said, could you do that? He said, no. He said, I've known 5 other engineers in Russia who worked on that and who tried to do that, and they all disappeared. So it's not time. Obviously, humanity has not earned the right to own that technology just yet. When we do, when our level of consciousness rises higher than when we earn it, then it'll be given to us, I'm sure. So what he says, the way the whole universe works, he says that universe is highly organized, tuned like a Swiss clock. There is no chaos anywhere in the universe, in the creation. Everything is amazingly programmed, structured, and ticking on beautifully. He says that chaos exists only in the human heads. There's nowhere else chaos in the universe. And what he says, that the way the ether is basically God. That is a universal source of energy, and it's inside us, it's around us, it's everywhere. It permeates everything. That is the creative force, this ether. And everything in nature harvests it. If we only observed insects, animals, birds, leaves, how the leaves open up, how the buds open up, how they, evolve, how the chrysalis turns into a butterfly. If we only observed and researched and studied these things and copied what they do, we could develop absolutely amazing nature-like technologies, which will harvest that ether at every point. We will not need to use coal or oil or electricity or anything else to power our technological inventions and our gadgets and things. And a good example of that is the Sufis. You know the whirling dervishes? Everybody I think have seen the whirling dervishes. Is this Sufi man? Sufi it's somehow been placed into Muslim religion, but it has nothing to do with Islam. It comes from Himalayas, probably comes from Shambhala. So Rumi comes, he disappeared in the Himalayas for many, many years, and then he came to Turkey, to Konya, and he brought these teachings to Turkey, to the Islamic culture. And it's called Sufi culture. What these whirling dervishes do, they have this long hat, and they position themselves. The hat looks to the right, the left hand is to the left, the whole body is tilted slightly, and they have this clothes that they wear, this coat that they wear, which creates a long skirt down to the floor like a bell. And they spin anti-clockwise. That's what everything in the universe does. When things spin anti-clockwise, they harvest ether and they bring it on a spiral into the nucleus of whatever it is. The nature, every tree, if you look at the fir tree, if you look at the cedar, you will see that the branches grow in a spiral around the trunk of the tree. And if you follow that spiral from the tip of the fir tree down to the ground, you will see that it is anti-clockwise. Every tree is an antenna. It is harvesting ether anti-clockwise, and it is sending it into the earth. And it goes into the core of the earth, into the nucleus of the earth, where this energy transforms into matter. Matter and energy are two sides of the same coin. So the energy transforms into matter, and then that matter comes out of the nucleus of the earth, clockwise. Isn't that amazing? So what's materialized comes out clockwise. What's not materialized goes into the nucleus anti-clockwise. It harvests the energy. So these whirling dervishes can twist for hours anti-clockwise in this position, this kind of strange. And they're in some sort of trance and they don't get tired. For hours, they're spinning, 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 spinning. They don't get dizzy and they don't get tired. They're harvesting ether. And it feeds their bodies and it feeds them. And they say that when the more they do it, this sort of whirling dance, the more enlightened they become, the healthier they become, the younger they become, the more powerful they become, the more vitality they get. They're harvesting that. So when human beings are in a creative state and we're dreaming about creating something beautiful, something loving, something so beneficial, benevolent for the whole of humanity, for everybody around, and maybe you're walking a dog for an hour and you're just dreaming, that you will create this and that, and it will be like this and like that, and you do this and that. These thoughts go out into the whole universe. They harvest ether anti-clockwise. And then they go somewhere. Maybe they go into your heart. Maybe they go into your chakra. And eventually they materialize in your life. You create these things. Everything material in this world was a thought to start with. It harvested the ether. It got the energy. The thought creates the matrix, how this energy is supposed to structure itself. And then the whole thing materializes. Whether it's a physical object or whether it's events in your life, whether it's certain people in your life, something wonderful happening in your life and the lives of other people. So we all harvest this energy, particularly when we are creative or when we're creating for the benefit of everyone, not just for, looking after number one, not just for yourself. Okay.
Anybody else? No? That's everybody done. Oh, yes. Lydia.
Hello.
Hello.
I was just wondering on your opinion about the way the food structures are actually going around us, i.e. in the UK. We've got friends up in the lakes who have farms, and they're really struggling against the sort of government structures. They're being offered to grow rapeseed on the land for lots of money, but are given no money to support small holdings, animals and things. And I was just wondering, for me, my opinion is that small holdings are the way forward, community farms, and really getting the animals back into the villages, getting us all connected. And I was wondering, on a timeline for yourself, how long did it take you to grow and create the farm, the organic farm that you got in England? Was it a long time, or how did you
12
do it?
years.
Can you share some secrets, please?
Okay.
Wow, okay. That's the goal. So 12 years time, guys. So cool, brilliant. And any advice on how to go about that?
Okay, I think I heard the question. Yes.
Advice on how to go about it. And I know you've got courses and stuff on this, haven't you?
Well,
So Yeah.
There's something magical about 2012. I'm sure many people know about that, the Maya calendar and all the predictions and everything else. Well, this same scientist that I was talking about, his model of the universe, his computer model of the universe has shown, demonstrated that 2012 was the moment when humanity hit the rock bottom in our consciousness, in the spiritual sense. We went as low as we can get as humanity. And now we're heading up. I think that's a wonderful news. That things now are going to get better. They're not going to get any worse than they already got. So we are heading up. So in 2012, we bought a piece of land in East Anglia. It's 28 acres, not a huge amount, and we were meant to have it, this piece of land. As I said, you know, with our thoughts, we program our reality, we program our future. And I have been dreaming about a farm for a long time. And the agency gave us several farms to look at. My husband and I were driving around, nothing made sense. And then we drive through the gate of this particular farm. And I have a good visual memory. So I said, we've been here before. And then a man opens the door, I look at his face and I said, we've met before. And then we walk into the house and a penny dropped. Both of us remembered, my husband and I, we remembered that we got our puppy, our dog, from these people 16 years ago, from that very kitchen. And our dog, he was a magnificent golden retriever. He was still alive, he was still with us, he was elderly. As soon as we knew that our doggy was born here, we knew this is the place, must be. We haven't even seen the farm yet, but we knew this is it. So that's how we got our farm. And our doggy came back and he lived another 6 months and then he passed away peacefully. We planted an apple tree on his grave. We buried him on the farm. So I think that there are no accidents in life. There are no accidents in human life. This farm, the first thing we've discovered that there is no soil on our 28 acres. We tried to plant a few trees in the first year. We broke our forks, we broke our backs, we couldn't dig a hole to plant a tree. The topsoil was about this thick, a couple of inches. The grass clung to it because it rains in Britain, so the grass grows. But underneath it was all clay and big lumps of flint. So you couldn't even dig a hole. Industrial agriculture, arable agriculture destroys topsoil. The loss of topsoil is colossal in the Western world. You know, all the arable fields around us, the farmers, we met them all, you know, these old guys, these old farmers. They say, well, now I was a boy, there were worms in our soil and everything grew without chemicals. Now, if I don't put chemicals on my land, nothing will grow on it at all. And I'm thinking, whose fault is it? Who's destroyed the soil in your lifetime with all the chemicals that you poured on it? The soils in Britain are dead. All the nutrition for the plants comes from the chemicals that they spray. And if it didn't rain, we would have had sand dunes by now all over Britain. It would have been a desert because of arable industrial agriculture. It is the most destructive force in the world. So we had to, the first thing I did, I bought tons of organic compost. I've employed a local farmer who came with a huge digger, dug up holes for us, for our trees. We filled these holes with compost and we planted trees into that compost. That's what we did. That was the first thing we did. We planted an orchard. We planted about 1,000 trees on our land because we inherited 2 empty fields, which were sprayed with chemicals, and there was no soil, and it was just very poor. So now, in 12 years, we turned it into a paradise, which produces so much food. We don't know what to do with it. You know, 12 years ago, this land didn't produce any food at all. They were just grass that they cut for hay and they sprayed with chemicals, that's all. Now we're producing enormous amount of meat, milk, eggs, vegetables, fruit, nuts, honey. We've got bees, we've got beekeeping. And we've trained hundreds of volunteers on my farm. They come from all over the world, young people from all over the world. And they volunteer, we teach them how to do everything. And it's a joy to have these young people, this young energy on the farm. You know, they have a good fun, good time. Some come for a week, some come for a few months, some stay for 2 years. It depends on how it goes. And we're feeding them, we provide them with accommodation, and they come and stay, and they help us on the farm. On our own, we wouldn't have been able to manage it all, you know, without their help. Now I'm writing a book, because when we started farming, we didn't know the first thing. We knew very little. We were city people. We made a lot of mistakes. So I'm now writing a book how to do this, how a person from a city who doesn't know the first thing about farming can go about this. Hopefully the book will come out next year, because I'm getting close to that point now. So I'm writing a book about that. And now I got together with a group of lovely people here in Britain. So hopefully, if we manage to get more land around my farm, we will be creating a community. And things in, you know, what physicists say, things happen in 12-year spells, 12-year stages. So we bought our land in 2012, now it's 2024. So hopefully in 12 years, I'll be able to write a book about how to create a benevolent community that works, that where everybody is participating and everybody's happy and well fed and healthy, and children are growing up in that community, enlightened and benevolent and healthy children who are schooled by nature and schooled in the correct way, you know. So I hope that happens. Okay.
Yeah, right. And you always tease me with the books. You always take longer to bring them out, like gut and physiology syndrome. I was waiting for that. It has to be out next year. Come on, get this one out. Come on.
I know. Because, you know, a fruit needs to be ripe before it falls off the tree.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Tristan?
What is your diet?
Tristan wants to know what your current personal diet is.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, Tristan wants to know, what is your current personal diet? What do you eat in a day? What does Natasha have after her crunchy nut cornflakes and pizza?
Yes, my family lives on GAPS, strictly on full GAPS diet. We eat all the animal foods from the farm. We eat our own vegetables and fruit. We ferment a lot. We have our own honey. We've got our own nuts. So the only things we buy are salt, spices, olive oil of good quality, and fish. That's all we buy. The rest the farm provides. And what I've learned from my farm, the farm teaches me something every day. If you observe, if you keep your eyes and ears open, and you listen to your animals, and you listen to the birds, and you look at the plants and the trees, they all teach you something all the time. Nature is where the truth is. And human body belongs in nature. It doesn't belong in that technocratic construct where the rest of the humanity lives. So nature teaches you all the time something new. And what it taught me, that on an organic farm, on a natural farm like this, producing meat, eggs, and milk is easy. 1 hour in the morning, you're busy. 1 hour in the evening, the rest of the day is free. As long as the animals have their pasture, they're in the sunlight, they're happy, healthy, and they don't need anything else. They look after themselves perfectly well. So we get up at 8 o'clock with our volunteers, we feed the chickens, we let them out, we milk the goats, milk the cows, we process the milk, we take the goats to pasture, we let the cows to pasture, job done. Then everybody goes and has breakfast, their showers, whatever they need, and then we work in the gardens. And in the evening, it also takes about an hour to bring the cows in, to bring the goats in, to feed the chickens, put them to sleep. That's it. One can even hold a full-time job during the day, like I do, because I work during the day. I write, I have a lot to do during the day. But when it comes to growing vegetables on an organic farm, that's where hard labor is. That's where a full-time job is. And the yield is completely unpredictable because the weather changes, every year is different. You know, it rains at the wrong time, or the sun doesn't shine, or whatever happens, and your carrots just don't grow. You do everything by the book, They just don't grow. So one year you get lots of cabbages and no carrots. Another year you get lots of beetroot and carrots, but no cabbages. So you cannot predict. That is why organic farming, true organic farming, does not suit commercial framework. Because in the commercial framework, you're obliged to produce so much and to provide it to the shops and deliver. You know, your land has to produce so many cabbages or so much beetroot or so much whatever. You know, it's completely and utterly unpredictable. When it goes to industrial agriculture, these two things swap. Producing reliable yields of plant matter is easy for them. The scientists have worked it out decades ago for them. They've got their hybrid seeds. Every seed is coated in chemicals, pre-prepared. These are not seeds, they're pellets they're planting. And they've got all the machinery and chemicals, and you spray this on day 5, and you spray that on day 14, and you spray this on, you know, in the following months, and it works. We get these perfect looking fields, not one weed in sight, and reliable yields. The yields of what? Nobody's asking. The fact that it's nutritionally empty and full of chemicals, nobody's worrying about. As long as the farmer gets his yield and gets his profit, everything's working and it's all nice. And one man can serve, with all the machinery and chemicals, can serve thousands of acres. And very soon, this one man will be replaced with robots. You won't need human labor at all to produce plant matter in colossal amounts. But when it comes to animal husbandry, industrial model doesn't work. It's unprofitable. It's a huge headache to them because animals just refuse to comply with industrial model. They get sick and they die. Animals, pigs, sheep, cows, goats, chickens, turkeys, must be on pasture. They need to be in the fresh air, under the sunlight. Then they're happy, then they're healthy, and they should not be fed grain and soya. Grain and soya are not natural for them to eat. They make them sick. But the arable farmers, the industrial agriculture, wants to plow every little bit of soil they can find, every square meter. So they've taken all these animals off the land, locked them in cafes, in confined animal factory operations, and they feed them grain and soya. Grain and soya make them sick. So these animals have to be fed antibiotics every day, have to be fed steroids, and have to be slaughtered when they're young, before they develop cancer and die from this inappropriate food, stressful environment, filthy, you know, unsuitable environment for them. That is why industrial, the people who own all the corporations in the world and who own industrial agriculture, they wanted to get rid of animal husbandry for a long time. So what they've done, decades ago, they've invested billions into developing new technologies of synthetic meat, synthetic eggs, and synthetic milk, and synthetic fish. These things are already in supermarkets. They can 3D print it for you. They can print you a medium rare steak or anything else you like. So now the real animal husbandry is their competition. And they wanted to get rid of it a long time ago because it's difficult and unprofitable. That is why they have launched pro-vegan propaganda all over the world through their major servant, which is the government of the Western world, the governments in every country. These governments are put into that place by these corporate magnates, you know, by this elite, and they serve that elite. They're not serving us. So the governments have been pumping this propaganda to the population. So everybody should become a vegan because a vegan population on the planet makes perfect business sense for industrial agriculture. As simple as that. And now they are making new steps in destroying the farming, in destroying the, even some parts of the arable are being destroyed because everything can be made in the lab now, can be synthesized in the lab now. They're heading in that direction. So coming back to the organic farm, to the true natural way of doing things. Humanity didn't eat a lot of vegetables for most of our existence on our planet because they are so difficult to grow. They are very hard work. That is why I tell every person who wants to start with a small holding, don't start with the vegetable garden. Start with chickens. Chickens are so easy, and sheer joy, sheer pleasure to have chickens. It's wonderful. Start with the chickens. Get used to the chickens. Learn how to be with them, how to look after them. Start enjoying the eggs, start enjoying the good meat from these chickens. Learn how to breed them. And then get a pig, then get a goat. And only later you can get your vegetable garden, because the vegetable garden is the hardest work and it's completely unpredictable on an organic farm. That is why a population, a humanity made out of vegetarians and vegans cannot be fed out of organic gardens, true organic gardens. The organic label in the supermarkets is a big lie. It has been a lie for more than 10 years now. You cannot trust organic label in the supermarkets at all. That is industrial agriculture, which is manipulating things. It's manipulated all the regulations and laws around organics. And that's how they can slap this label on their produce in the supermarkets. I'm talking about real organic produce, real natural things. Growing vegetables on an organic farm is the hardest thing to do. You cannot feed a population of vegetarians and vegans out of organic gardens or organic or truly organic farms. The only way to feed them is through industrial arable agriculture. Industrial arable agriculture is the major destructive force for our planet. They are destroying our planet. So vegans are not saving the planet, they are destroying it. And unfortunately, the propaganda tells them the opposite. Okay.
They
I think there's some, yeah.
and everything. That's the way to get back at these people, with humor, I think. Anyway, anything else? Because we've got to let Natasha go in a little bit. We've been on for an hour and a half, and I'm also running out of Zoom space. And anybody got anything quickly? One more? Rachel here says, curious to know whether you've ever tried the full sort of carnivore and no plants yourself.
Well, in my blue book, the latest book that you mentioned, Phil, this book, and also in the gut and physiology syndrome, and in the vegetarian book, I talk a little bit about that. We human beings need to be deeply in touch with our inner body intelligence. Your body is busy doing so many things. It's maintaining so many checks and balances. The whole homeostasis is very complex in the human body. So every day, every hour, every minute, your body requires certain nutrition to maintain its homeostasis, to maintain itself in the good shape, good order. And where would the body get all this nutrition? From you, of course. So for example, when you wake up in the morning and your body needs so much protein, so much fat, so much B12, so much zinc, so much, of other things, so much vitamins, how is your body going to tell you all this information? And even if your body had a way of telling you all this, how are you going to go about getting that mixture of nutrients for your body? Well, Mother Nature is kind. It doesn't ask us to do anything so complicated. It gave us desire for food. It gave us the sense of smell, the sense of taste, and the sense of satisfaction from food. That's what I describe in detail in the blue book. And these senses, they constantly guide us what to eat and what not to eat, literally by the hour, every day. So one morning you may wake up, and if you listen to your desire, what would I kill for right now? What would I really want to eat right now? Your body will give you desire, you might just want an apple, nothing else. You're happy, just crunch one apple, and until lunchtime, you're not hungry. Because that apple will provide your body with everything it needs until lunchtime. But at lunchtime, everything will change in the body, and your body wants a steak, and it wants vegetables, and it wants this, that, and the other. A bowl of soup and everything else. And if you listen to your intelligence, then you will provide that. And if you provide the right food, if you listen to your desire for what you want to eat right now, then it will smell divine, It will taste amazing. And after you've eaten it, you will feel fully satisfied. You will not be craving anything else. You can forget about the food for a while and get on with other things in your life, because you gave your body what it asked for and at the right moment. Every one of us is unique. Every one of us has unique things going on in our lives. It all depends. Your nutritional demands and needs depend on your level of stress. In women, it depends on menstrual cycle very much. It depends on the weather, how cold it is, how hot it is, on the climate, on the season, on various things you're doing in your life. So what suits one person at the table may not suit you at all. So we all should forget, nobody can dictate to you. No scientist, no clever book, no nutritionist, no doctor, what you should eat for breakfast, what you should eat for lunch, what you should eat for dinner. Only your body should be dictating you. So every one of us needs to take time to get in touch with our inner body intelligence. So you listen to your desire. And it's important to smell food before you put it in our mouths. If you observe animals, they would never take anything in their mouth without thoroughly smelling it first. Because the sense of smell gives us enormous amount of information about the food. Is it the right food? Is it fresh? Is it contaminated with something? Is it, is it what I need to do to eat right now? And will it provide all the needed resources for my body? So it's important to smell and then to chew it, get the taste, and then the stomach will give you a feedback whether this was the right food. And your whole body will be satisfied if it was the right food. So every one of us is unique. We need to understand that. And at every moment, whenever we have a minute to eat and we want to eat something, we need to do that. We need to connect to our body intelligence. I say to understand it fully, please read the chapter. There's a large chapter on it here in the Gut and Physiology Syndrome book. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you. Much. Letting you home. You're going to come to one of these things. This one's beautiful, and we want you here next year.
Hopefully, if it doesn't clash with anything else,
Sure.
like it did this year. Okay, it's lovely to meet you
here.
all, and
So,
I hope
thank
you
you.
have a wonderful conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natasha. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.